Happy to keep things warm for him until he gets here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me just make sure that I have everything away so that the people cannot see any of these emails. I'm going to shut down that email screen. And then I'm going to give you a 1 minute countdown to when we're going to be going live. Yeah, because this is good stuff. Okay, so I'm going to do the live stream right now. I'll give you the, let me make sure, I'm going to do a backup recording in case for whatever reason we get censored.
Recording in progress.
We're still not live yet. This is
Good.
just a backup. I'm going to do this closed captioning for people who can't hear well. And we're going to be live in 30 seconds. Okay. We're almost live. We've got 15 seconds to go on live. All right. We've got the 5-second countdown. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live. Hi, this is the Maverick artist Victor-Hugo reporting modern art gonzo journalism for the modern art music movement. It is Wednesday, May 20th, 2026, reporting from the former Soviet Union, Republic of Georgia, near the border with Russia, Turkey, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. A camel ride away from Kazakhstan, the Ukraine, Israel, Syria, Iran, Lebanon, Palestine, Yemen, and the Gaza Strip. My job is not to be politically correct. It is to witness, observe, analyze, and document the beautiful chaos that surrounds us all, so that future generations can understand how we got to this moment in time where I am blessed to be reunited with Giovanni Johnny Cirucci, and soon Jim Rizoli will be joining us in this conversation. But we wanted to go ahead and get started because before the show, we were talking about how Giovanni continues to be attacked, as do I, by the COINTELPRO obvious government agent, Dustin Nemos, who started off as the king of Q. And recently I played the clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene basically saying that Q was one of the biggest psyops ever in the history of the United States, thanks to people like Dustin Nemos, who made millions of dollars shilling his book on Amazon and his false narrative, Trust the Plan, the Patriots in Control, when the time was right for something to be done, for people to take action. They trusted Dustin Nemos, who was given a deal by the government after being in a similar situation as Chud the Builder, who right now has a $1.5 million bond. And Dustin Nemos also had a $1 million bond. And this was back years ago. So the equivalent would be about the same as Chud the Builder. Chud the Builder was for an attempted murder. Dustin Nemos was for all sorts of stuff having to do with children, which is interesting because if you've been following his story, he's always projecting the pedophilia that he's been accused of and that he's admitted on an X space with Stu Peters, Handsome Truth, and Adam Green onto anybody who disagrees with him. So that's what Giovanni Cirucci stumbled into, and now he's been attacked by Dustin Nemos, who had to create a new account. Mind you, for those who are unaware, Dustin Nemos has also been convicted of cyber stalking, which he has done to me, to Kenneth Pauline's mother, Diane Pauline, and to now Giovanni Cirucci. So this person is unapologetic. He hasn't learned his lesson, and yet he's still the modern Jim Jones with a very loyal and brainwashed cult following. So with that introduction, Giovanni, can you take us to where we were before? Because we were noticing that, interestingly enough, all roads lead to Jim Fetzer through Dean Ryan, with Alex Jones, Mike Adams, SGT Report, and Stu Peters. And then you were mentioning how Austin seems to be a hub with Joe Rogan and Alex Jones. So from there, where did you want to go?
Yeah, here are the facts, Victor. Here are the facts. So it sounds like crazy talk to connect Alex Jones to Bill Hicks, but the facts are that they are connected through Kevin Booth and Sacred Cow Productions. Sacred Cow Productions has a logo supposedly of a cow, but it
Can
actually...
you share the screen? Do you have that on there? Can you share the screen with us?
Sure.
So you can...
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because I'd like to see this logo if you have it. Just ask for permission to share screen, and
all right,
you'll have it. So you're talking about okay, you've got permission to share the screen for this Bill Hicks. Now, I must say I've been posting videos of Bill Hicks' humor, and I just don't see the connection. I know people say that he looks a lot like Alex Jones, but
no, do not rely on physical, because that's the weakest part of the argument. That's the weakest part of the argument. So my contention is that Alex Jones is playing a role to discredit, and there's the Go to Mendez, there's the Sacred Cow Production logo, and there's the Go to Mendez.
Wow.
Kevin Booth. So this is a fact. Kevin Booth managed Bill Hicks, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, and somebody else that escapes me. It's just an absolute fact. They got their start. They all got their start in the vicinity of Austin, Texas. Bill Hicks went off the stage. Actually, I have a list of all the similarities. Bill Hicks was...
That I was aware of. Yeah, that the same guy was managing all these people. So, yes.
Kevin Booth of Sacred Cow Productions managed Joe Rogan, Bill Hicks, and Alex Jones. Coincidence? Austin, Texas seems to be a hub of CIA Mockingbird propaganda. Bill Hicks, a comedian. Look at how many comedians are in alternative media. They have experience putting on a show. His whole shtick was to be a malcontent clown on a stage that very quickly, easily translates itself into what we see Bill Hicks is, what we see Alex Jones is. Excuse me. According to converted Roman Catholic Knight of Columbus Gavin McInnes's Vice magazine, this is the one conspiracy that Alex Jones really hates. He fits the modus operandi of using clowns gone serious, comedians gone serious, actors gone serious. And I have a short list of people who are definitely questionable in their role as lightning rods for ideology, including Ashton Kutcher. For Ashton Kutcher, right off the bat, Ashton Kutcher, born and raised Catholic, he's now converted Jewish with his Jewish wife. The machine needed Ashton Kutcher. The FBI, the most powerful law enforcement agency in the world, asked Ashton Kutcher to help them track down pedos with his Geek Squad because they just couldn't get it done. And then he went before Congress. So as a quick aside, Victor, whenever you want to blow smoke about what the government isn't doing, if the government were serious about doing it, it would do. If the government wants to come after you and me, we find out at 3 a.m. when a bunch of thugs clad in camouflage, parked with armored vehicles outside our door, kicks our door in, shoots our dog, and shoves an M4, not an AR-15, a real M4 into our face. That's how we find out the government wants us. When the government wants itself, we'll get a committee. We'll see a report. We'll have a song and dance. That's what the government does when it goes after itself. So when the government is a criminal, who are you going to rely on to rein in the government? You're screwed. This is why, by the way, the left are idiots, because the left say it's all about corruption and we need to rein in the corruption. The government is corrupt, so we need more government to rein in the corruption. No, wake up. And the right is just as bad. Oh, yeah, here it is. Here's our white hat. Everyone go back to sleep. The white hats have already arrested Hillary Clinton. She's in Guantanamo Bay right now. What you see on the TV, it's a hologram. Are we really that stupid? What people for Dustin Krieger, aka Dustin Nemos, to play that game just is more evidence that he is a Fed. More evidence he is a Fed. And by the way, this concept of go back to sleep, the white hats are covered. The generals who really love America are secretly fighting. What a bunch of bullshit. Did you know that this was first used by the NKVD during the October Revolution? It's called Operation Trust. It's called Operation Trust. During the October Revolution in 1917, while there was still vulnerability for the communists, they sent word out to the white Russians, the anti-communists, and said, go back to sleep. This looks really bad, but don't worry. We've got things under control. And it didn't exist. There was nothing under control. It was a massive takeover. And by the way, I am not a strict anti-communist. I'm anti-state communism. State communism is a sucker play. State communism is a sucker play. State communism acknowledges the inequity of the system. State communism acknowledges feudalism in a rough way, not too closely, because that's dangerous. State communism acknowledges the haves and the have-nots. And then state communism says, you just empower us, and we'll give you reset. And as soon as you empower them, you get tyranny that much worse. State communism is a fraud. It's not illegitimate. It's legitimate, but it is a fraud. It's a sucker play. So back to this list. Go ahead.
I want to bring something up. You made a good point. I didn't notice this until you said it. And I'm surprised I didn't notice it. A lot of comedians are now in this alt news media.
Oh my goodness.
They're dominating the numbers. The highest podcasts are all pretty much comedians.
Goodness. Jimmy Dore, yeah. Stephen Colbert is considered. Stephen Colbert is what? Hyper devout Roman Catholic. He's got a Jesuit for his own show. It must be the Jews, right? The number of comedians. Hey, let's go back to who it was that delivered the Zapruder film to what's his name, Geraldo, a black comedian by the name of Dick Gregory. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The evidence that Kennedy had his brains blown out was delivered to Puerto Rican Jewish Catholic Geraldo Rivera by Dick Gregory, the black comedian. What? And it was under wraps for like 5 years before it was blown. We got little snippets from Night of Malta Hearst, was it? Time magazine. We got a still shot here and a still shot there, but nobody was allowed to see the end result until Dick Gregory delivered it to Geraldo Rivera. Joe Rogan has a time in comedy. Eddie, what's his name? The jiu-jitsu guy, comedian, right? Oh my goodness. Tripoli, Sam Tripoli. I love Sam. I've been on his show. I love Sam. He's a comedian, right? List the number of comedians in alternative media. I think that's because they play a role, and I'm not smacking down Sam. I just think that Sam. I think that Sam may be hooked by Freemasonry. He says he's not, but Sam. I think Sam is aware of a bigger truth that he keeps to himself in order to protect himself. So,
can you share screen and show us the list? And also, do you have a photo of Sam Tripoli for those who are unaware of who Sam Tripoli is?
Sure. He's got a popular talk show, and he's a comedian. He's in the orbit of Joe Rogan. I'm happy to share my notes. I put him in a Word document.
Just a photo. So I'm trying to look him up. Sam Tripoli.
Sam
By the
Tripoli,
way,
like Libya, Tripoli.
In the comments section, people are mentioning that there's all these fake news sites out there that claim that everybody is in Guantanamo and that they've all been killed and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of BS news out there. Oh yeah, this guy Sam Tripoli. Yeah, I've seen this guy before. I didn't realize he was a comedian, though.
Oh, did I close my notes? Let me open my notes again.
And he's been on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh my goodness, they're very tight. They're very tight. Let's not forget actors. We'll throw in actors like Ronald Reagan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Corey Feldman, the two Coreys. Corey Feldman. I tell you, I've got evidence that Corey Feldman was a bastard child of Hugh Hefner. Now, in that case, I will share this. I don't do visual recognition. I believe that if Bill Hicks is Alex Jones, that he went under surgery, he's not going to look exactly like him. It's far more valuable to look at names, places, and dates. I don't do the Russian vids today with AI and CGI. You just can't. Yeah, there's Sam.
Wow. Okay. So I've never seen his podcast. And I've never seen his stand-up either.
It's good. It's entertaining. It's entertaining.
I'm familiar with his face. But you were on his show. What was the topic that you were on his show for?
Just a general overview of Jesuits, and I was very blessed to have been on to do that. Just a general overview, and my connection was through my boys over the Nephilim Death Squad. They're great. I love them. So
yeah, I'm not really familiar with all this stuff on X. I'm kind of glad I'm not on it. It seems so toxic. And
very
you're
controlled.
Saying that you're being attacked
Victor.
now.
Yeah, it's very controlled. It's very controlled.
Dustin Nemos is attacking you. He keeps complaining that he was censored again and that he opened up a new account.
Yeah,
which is interesting because essentially
I don't believe him. He's definitely unhinged. He's unhinged. He obsesses over people that call him out because he's weak. He knows that his position is weak. It's absolutely insane that he would dare to call himself a Christian pastor with the ludicrous, unbiblical things that he puts out there, which is why I got so upset over him, over the fraud that was our debate, and I spent two exposés on outing what I think is his fed shtick of Jew baiting and Jew blaming, standing on the Bible. The nerve to say ridiculous things like white Jesus hates Jews and claim that that's right out of the Bible when Jesus is a Jew and Jesus is not Robert Powell. So if you go back to the the TV miniseries with the British actor Robert Powell with the pale face and the long hair and the crystal blue eyes, Jesus of Nazareth was the old TV miniseries back in the 70s. Yeah, that is not what Jesus looks like. As a matter of fact, I had a great artificial intelligence conversation with Google Gemini that I renamed Gemma, where she explains that feminizing Jesus is a way to anesthetize Christians. If you believe that Jesus is this quiet, passive, loving only, pasty white, blue-eyed, long-haired figure, then you're going to be encouraged that you don't need to take a stand against injustice. You don't need to, just as the AI told me, you're not the guy that's going to take a knotted cord, and flip up the tables of the money changers in the temple. You're going to be the one that just sort of cowers in the corner. Oh, is this what it means to be a pacifist Christian? You look like this. Just absolutely absurd. No biblical proof whatsoever. And that's some of the...
I want to get back to what you were sharing the screen with, because I want to stay focused before Jim Rizoli joined.
Sure.
You said you had a list of people that you said
just a short list. It's a short list of just people to keep an eye out for as far as this pattern of comedians and or actors being used powerfully by what could be an intelligence apparatus, a CIA Mockingbird intelligence apparatus, to include, like I said, comedians and actors, of which Bill Hicks was one, of which Jimmy Dores. Now, Jimmy Dores just skyrocketed out, and oh my goodness, every show is Jews, Israel, Zionists, Jews, Israel. Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about when guys like Jimmy Dore a leftist Catholic who was far left, and now he's libertarian now, okay? That gives him credibility in truth-seeking audiences. He walked away from Young Turks, right? Younger, whatever that clown's name is. He was there for a while. He was part of that far-left crew, and now he's off doing his own thing, and he's a libertarian, don't you know? So Bill Hicks helped found Sacred Cow Productions with Kevin Booth. Kevin Booth went on to manage Alex Jones and Joe Rogan, like we mentioned. They all have their start out of Austin, Texas. Both Bill Hicks and Alex Jones are reported to have been 6'1" in their height. Bill Hicks' last work with Kevin Booth was on the same topic as the first work of Alex Jones, Waco, the incident in Waco in '93, right? Alex Jones has no verifiable history prior to the Hicks death in 1994. Bill Hicks had no public funeral, no visible grave. He may be in Austin. He may be in Mississippi. I'm not quite sure. Hicks supposedly died in his 33rd year at 32. So there's some little Freemasonic nuggets for you. Let's see here. Alex Jones, what put Alex Jones on the map was his crashing Bohemian Grove, okay? So if you believe what really happens at Bohemian Grove, there's no way. The state police of California manage the security at Bohemian Grove. Do you believe that some of the most powerful men, not just in America, but in the world, would allow some kind of retreat that they have that is reputed to dive in to extreme sexual depravity for the purposes of blackmail? Do you think that they would just allow someone to break in? Or, and I'll tell you, back in the 90s, this fits perfectly. Bohemian Grove was on its way out 30, 40 years ago. Today, it's just a more of a myth than anything else. They have their secluded ranches and they have their islands. Bohemian Grove is nothing today as opposed to, like I said, their islands and their ranches. It's interesting that Alex Jones, in his expose, never said anything about the Knights of Hubertus, the Roman Catholic Knights of Hubertus, who preserve God's creation by killing it. They're all big and into hunting. And there is a statue of a Roman Catholic saint, John of Nepomuc. There is a statue of a Roman Catholic saint, John of Nepomuc, with his finger over his mouth that guards the entrance into Bohemian Grove. Alex Jones said nothing about that. Alex Jones claimed that cremation of care is a play, but there are other supposed survivors. Oh, by the way, now pause. This guy on the bottom, this guy is a different individual. I saw a great video about the other Alex Jones. I think it's called Controlled Opposition Alex Jones by the YouTube channel Piercing the Cube.
Are you talking about this guy right here? This one where the thumb is?
No, scroll back up a little bit. Stop. Right there.
This guy?
Next one over.
This one.
Yes. That is a real person, a separate individual. That is a real person. That is not Bill Hicks. And that is not Alex Jones today. That is a lookalike. And the channel Piercing the Cube did a phenomenal breakdown of how this actor played the role up until Bill Hicks took it over. Okay?
See, this is odd to me, though, and I'm aware of this, but I'm having difficulty buying it because I am a fan of Bill Hicks' comedy, but Alex Jones doesn't come anywhere near.
It's not
Bill
important.
Hicks.
It's not important, and I don't want to cause too much controversy by making a very hard sell, and yet it's a fact that they both were managed by the same guy.
Yeah, That's absolutely true. I'm looking for a picture of this guy that you're talking about.
Kevin Booth. Yeah, good
Who
luck.
is the? Oh, you can't find his picture, huh?
I may have a folder
Yeah.
on him. Hang on. I may have something on him.
Look at these two guys. They look kind of, sort of similar.
Yeah,
but
but
not
then
really.
then you have to factor in that there was some minor surgery to physically alter Bill Hicks. And listen, it's not, you don't have to say that's true to go into that. Just know that the guy who is Alex Jones is an intelligence operative. Whoa,
Yeah,
whoa, whoa!
that's-
Why was James Gunn? Why is James Gunn coming up? James
Where's
Gunn,
that?
you know
Where-
James Gunn, a Roman Catholic. He's a big Hollywood guy who was disgraced. Scroll back up.
Oh, this
Right
guy.
there. Stop. Yeah. Why is he coming up?
What?
Jesuit
I don't know.
James
Who
Gunn.
is-
He was trained by the Jesuits. He's a Roman Catholic and a sexual deviant and a pedo. He was humiliated. He was pulled from Guardians of the Galaxy because they found on his Twitter that he had made like 300 or more jokes about screwing kids and eating kids and raping kids. He's a real deviant. And here's a Hollywood guy, a Jesuit trained Roman Catholic. Who really controls just Hollywood? Oh, it must be the Jews. Must be the Jews. So listen, here's another one that is far closer to the truth. Joe Rogan, of course. Kevin Booth, Joe Rogan, Bill Hicks, out of Austin, Texas. Okay, so clearly they're all connected in relation to a CIA COINTELPRO operation. If it's too much of a leap for you to accept that Bill Hicks was surgically altered and became playing the role of Alex, it's okay. It's okay. It's not important, especially if you're trying to garner your credibility amongst the normies and the blue pills. I would not lead with this. I would not lead with this. It's a hard sell. This guy.
Well, I'll tell you.
Go ahead.
I'm not the person to just poo-poo any of these theories because I know, for example, I've seen the footage of Joe Rogan looking into the camera and telling the CIA, "Hey, listen, if you're watching, I'll take a job with you. I'll lie to my own mother."
Right.
And he told the CIA that he wanted, and then he gets that Spotify. I think it was $100 million or $200 million contract. So yeah, Joe Rogan's definitely
pull up. Oh, here's another thing. How about these guys doing the devil horns, which is a sign. Search for Bill Hicks devil horns. I've got a bunch of them,
Okay.
and so what that is a tell of is that these guys are really into darkness, and they are willing to conduct a massive deception upon the common person for whatever they want, for whatever. And Joe Rogan.
Well, I remember Bill Hicks' comedy definitely was on the dark side. So absolutely.
Yeah.
And then look at Rogan. He's got all this.
There it is. Stop. Yeah, right there. There's Rogan with LaVey's son.
Yeah.
There's Rogan with LaVey's son, and what the F is he wearing? He's wearing some kind of satanic crucifix cross mockery of Jesus t-shirt. So
look at that.
This is the background of someone willing to be used by counterintelligence. This is someone who's hey, let's not forget Michael Aquino, who was a lieutenant colonel in special operations, who traced himself.
Look at
Oh yeah.
666 on the shirt. Wow. It's interesting how these people, they don't even know who they're.
And look at how
titles.
respectable Rogan is now. He's got the biggest talk show anywhere. Talk show anywhere. Look at how respectable he is now. I think he's playing a role.
Jim Rizoli has joined us. How are you, Jim? Welcome to the show.
I apologize. I get screwed up on the times. Central Time, in your time, I just get all messed up.
It's my fault, Jim.
That's okay.
I had us all using Eastern Time. It's all good, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think about this, Alex Jones and COINTELPRO and Joe Rogan? Now, I'm pushing it. I'm trying to make the case that Bill Hicks is a surgically altered Alex Jones. I know it's a really tough cell. But there are names, places, and dates that coincide. I'm not just saying he looks alike. That's the worst case you can make. For instance, another very similar case is Justin Castro is secretly Justin Trudeau is secretly Justin Castro. Now, you can do whatever lookalike stuff that you want on Justin Trudeau and Fidel Castro. However, it is an accepted fact that the Roman Catholic Trudeaus were so tight with communist Castro, they were constantly visiting him. They were spending all kinds of time around him. And in fact, there is a photograph of Fidel holding up a baby Trudeau that is supposedly Justin's brother. But as far as I'm concerned, it's actually Justin. So there are other games that they have played very, very similar to this that I think feeds the case that Bill Hicks. There have been several instances. Of guys on the Alex Jones show calling him Bill. I think as a way to needle him. The WorldNet Daily journalist Jerry Corsi called him Bill. Who's the CIA guy that he used to bring on all the time? Also called him Bill. Let's see if I've got his name in here. Steve Pachenik. Steve Pachenik also called him Bill a couple of times. As a matter of fact, Steve Pachenik, I can play it for you. Steve Pachenik had a clip where he goes, "You remind me almost of a guy named Bill Hicks." I can play you the clip. It clearly seems to be some sort of Pachenik insider joke where he's needling Alex Jones. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, if you have the clip, go ahead and pull it up. And in the meantime, Jim Rizoli, what do you think? What's your take on this?
Well, I don't know what the discussion is about. So
the question is whether Bill Hicks, the comedian, is actually Alex Jones, and that they did something to plastic surgery or something, turn him into Alex Jones.
I don't even know. I don't know who even Bill Hicks is. So I can't compare him and give you any expert advice. I don't watch Hicks. I know Alex Jones, but I really don't know.
I think we can cut through it, Jim. And just say that Alex Jones is playing a role. He's playing a counterintelligence role to bring in, to hook truth seekers and then discredit the truth. He offers himself as a source of hidden or secret knowledge. Truth seekers know that mainstream media is lying to them. And so who do they go to? The biggest name to catch you. That's what was my journey. When I walked away in the 90s and really recently in the 2000s, I walked away from Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Sean Hannity, Bill O'Reilly, Irish Catholic Hannity, Irish Catholic O'Reilly. I went to them because it was obvious that all the alphabet soup news agencies were hard left. Hard left. And I wanted an alternative to all that hard left propaganda. And so I was pulled in the 90s by Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin and Hannity and O'Reilly and Savage. And then came Barack Obama. And none of those guys got into the truth about who Barack Obama really is. He's clearly a shill. The poor guy can't take a dump unless his teleprompter says, "It's okay, we can let you take a dump now." Turns out that he was trained by Jesuits. Barack Obama was trained by Jesuits. Greg Galuzzo for one, and Jerry, I've got the last name, the other one, something. I don't want to say Scahill. Scahill's another one. But anyway, when it was obvious to me that those guys were just as controlled as the alphabet soup mainstream, then I was, okay, if I'm not going to get the truth from Rush Limbaugh and Mark Levin and Sean Hannity and Bill, where do I go? I have to go to Alex Jones. And that's the role that he's playing, to pull in anyone that questions the official narrative and then to discredit truth-seeking with his antics. So really, who he actually is, probably should not get into. I'm just throwing that out there because I have data on the possibility that he's been a comedian that was made over.
If you have that clip,
I do.
pull it up.
I can saw it. You ready? You ready?
Yeah. Okay, go for it. Yeah, show us. But you got to share screen.
Oh, and I also hang on. Let's undo that because I also have to share sound. Right? Let me try that again.
Somebody in the live chat says Max Kaiser even said Alex was Bill.
As
jokingly.
another one. So we'll add another one. Right? All right. Here we go.
Isaac was talking about Trump and Jared and Ivanka. Speaking of that, months ago he wrote about it at stevepachenik.com. Jared Kushner's tied into that. Now, he's got some breaking
Jared
facts.
Kushner. So here's the guy. Jared Kushner's tied into it. So Alex Jones constantly gets ripped for protecting the Jews, and yet here he is, Jared Kushner. Are you kidding me? Jared Kushner. Stop. Let me play the clip.
Former State Department head of psychological operations, worked with other agencies, was involved in regime change, you name it. Did the Camp David Accord successfully. Has a great pedigree, co-wrote books with, of course, Tom Clancy. He's also a medical doctor, psychiatrist.
Tom Clancy Jewish. Tom Clancy, Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic. Jack Ryan, his character, Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic.
And military veteran, and that's Dr. Steve Pachenik.
This is a new time when the internet and people like ourselves can create a lot of problems for our own establishment. Now, once again, the military-industrial complex is far more important than Chobani. You know, the Turkish man who wants to sue you for yogurt, let him do that. It's a waste of time and money. Your character is strong enough and you're smart enough and you're witty enough. Almost reminds me of this guy, Bill Hicks, but of course you're not he. So your brilliance is so sharp that it's a knife in itself. You continue to be what you are.
What do you think?
Wow. Do you have the clip of him with Max Kaiser saying it?
I don't. That's news to me. I wasn't tracking that. I will look it up.
If you could pull that up. In the meantime, I'm going to share, now that Jim Rizoli is here, we're going to start this show off with a prayer, and we're going to have our friend Dustin Nemos lead us off with this prayer.
You're freaking me out now.
Here we go.
Stick around. Dear Heavenly Father, Yahweh, in Yeshua's name, thank you for this opportunity to gather for another day, for wisdom, for discernment, and for humility. I know that I have an ego, and I don't pretend not to. Thank you for victories, Father, for the power that you give us to refute those who accuse us wrongfully.
Yeah, okay, so...
listen to me. Hang on. This guy is either a psychopath or a diseased liar. There's no way that he truly believes that he was in communion with Yahweh in his prayer. There's no way that this guy truly believes that he is a Christian pastor. There's no way. He's either truly a psychopath or he's a serial liar. There's no. I do, by the way, have Jerry Corsi calling him Bill. It's just the audio, though, if you want it.
Well, before that, not only does he believe that, but he also believes he's the greatest debater of all time.
Right.
But you call me arrogant. Now, is it factually objective that I can make a claim to be the best debater when I remain undefeated with PhDs, rabbis, pastors, and experts, scientists? Yeah, I think that's a fair claim. I give all glory to Yahweh, so he glorifies me. He gives me victories. Isaiah 54:17 says, I shall refute every tongue that accuses me, including yours.
Yeah, there's no way that we, as we mentioned earlier, that kind of really weird clinical fixation on ego is a coping mechanism for someone that is living a lie. When you're living a lie, you project extreme levels of self-love to cover for that. Just absolutely surreal. Absolutely surreal. I think continue to use the Bible. It's just surreal. This guy is in for a very rude awakening when he stands before Jesus Christ. He is in for a very rude awakening.
Well, recently, Jim Rizoli communicated with Dustin Nemos because Dustin Nemos put out a video about Hitler, and Jim Rizoli was challenging Dustin Nemos to a debate about Hitler.
Be careful, Jim. You're going to become a Jewish pedophile, Jim, if you challenge too much.
Yeah, I warned Jim Rizoli. I sent them an email. I said, hey, listen, I just want you to know that exactly what Giovanni says. if you in any way, shape, or form make Dustin Nemos look bad, you will end up on his pedophile list. And usually the way his debates go with people is the moment he feels that your challenge is too strong, he just leaves and then claims that you cheated. So how's that going? Are you still going to debate him?
Well, I never had a discussion with him. I just posted, I think, something on your channel, right? That a video he did. And I just questioned him on what his viewpoint of Hitler was, and I still don't know what he believes. So you'd have to fill me in. I don't follow any of these guys, all these people you're talking about. I don't even deal with them. So, I'm happy to give an opinion if I know anything about them, but I don't know much about Dustin Nemos either. I really don't know much about him.
If I could, here's my concern. Here's my concern on Hitler as a folk hero. The same thing I would say about state communism. They sound great, but they don't deliver in relation to supposedly Hitler was anti-Mason. And yet I look out there and I see, okay, what Masonic halls. So if I'm anti-Mason, here's what I'm doing. I'm closing down every Masonic hall. I'm gathering up the leadership, and I am using the same Jesuit, nasty, vicious, harsh interrogation techniques that were used on others by Heinrich Himmler, and just brutally cracking down on Masonic leadership to find out what their underground what are Masons. Masons are secret keepers. I would just pull out what their underground mechanisms were. Who was it? Who are the secret Masons in my command? Who do I have to look over my shoulder to? None of that was done. None of that was done. So I throw the BS flag on how communism and even at least on that ground. Same thing with the bankers, the big money interests. They weren't really attacked, especially with the Communist Revolution. The Communist Revolution was a sucker play, an absolute sucker play. As I said before the show, or during the show, that it absolutely is spot on to talk about the differentiation between the haves and the have-nots, between the elites. The problem is, once the revolution starts, all the wrong people get attacked. All the wrong people get attacked, and that's my concern. As far as, even if you target, let's say you're targeting, you want to go after the Rothschilds. Hey, go get them. Go get them. But you know what? If you froth people up, they're not going after the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds have their own private friggin' armies. You're going after the poor bastard, Shlomo Goldstein with his delicatessen on the street corner. He's the one who's going to get hurt. You're not going to hurt the Soroses and the Rothschilds. They're completely insulated, and that's my concern about the muckrakers out there. And oh, by the way, we've covered in the past, Soros is the absolute inverse of someone you would think is the ultimate Jewish evil bad guy, because he put himself on the map. And during World War II, he was taken in by a Catholic uncle, pretended to be Christian, and went around collecting up property of fellow Jews that were arrested by the Gestapo. And he told 60 Minutes.
Before we get into Soros, let's let Jim Rizoli speak to what he found in Dustin's report on Hitler, claiming that Hitler was a puppet for the Jews and was a Rothschild. Is that what you were concerned about, Jim Rizoli? And what is your return?
Everybody has their view about Hitler. I don't think Hitler was a Rothschild. I don't think, I don't know, maybe, Johnny, you're trying to show that he had some ties in with the Freemasons. I thought he was coming against them to try to stop them. If you feel he was a Freemason, I like to see.
No. I'm just saying that for his credibility, people consider him a folk hero because he was supposedly anti-Mason, and I say that there's no evidence that he was truly anti. He may have voiced anti-Masonic. He may have said things.
Didn't he shut down some of the Freemason halls and all that?
There may have been some expendable halls, but he did not shut Freemasonry down in Germany. Germany as a whole still maintained massive Freemasonic presence.
Okay. I mean, it doesn't look at it. I don't care if he had some ties to Freemason. I don't think he did.
I'm not saying ties. I'm not saying ties. I'm just saying fake credibility. That as a folk hero who was with us against the machine, against the secret keeper, it's not really there. There's not
Johnny,
enough.
let me ask you this. Just again, I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. But how do you feel about Hitler?
Puppet. When I see things like collared Jesuit Bernard Stampfel ghostwriting Mein Kampf, clearly, I'll tell you what. When I see every turn,
okay, so you don't think Hitler had anything to do with writing Mein Kampf?
He at least had a ghostwriter through a collared Jesuit, Bernard Stampfel. He may have had those basic ideas, but the man that polished them and got them published was a Jesuit, was a collared Jesuit, Bernard Stampfel, and a known vicious anti-Semite. Because that's the Jesuit Catholic rule, is anything but Rome. It's the communists. It's the Jews. It's the Freemasons. Don't look at us. It's somebody else.
Okay. So let's say, and I agree with you that Hitler could have had some good ties with the Catholic Church because he had to.
He was Catholic. He was an Austrian Catholic. As a matter of fact, he saw the swastika when he was a baby.
I don't have any problems with Hitler having any ties with the Catholic Church. I mean, half the people in Germany were Catholic, and he had to get them on his side.
Oh, not half. So, not half.
Well,
a minority. The ones with power. The guys like what's his name? Franz. Oh my goodness.
It's on Tinker. With this new guy.
Sorry about that.
Who thinks every frog has a file.
I'm trying to.
Right? He's got a radio voice made of gravel and caffeine. I'm calling him Alex Jones. He kicks the door and like gravel.
Okay, I just silenced that. I have this lined up here. It's Bill Hicks talking about Alex Jones. Continue, guys. I apologize.
Franz, you got Catholics like Franz von Papen, extremely wealthy Catholic that basically bankrolled the Third Reich. You've got the Third Reich being born, and so.
Okay, I don't have any problem with that. I honestly, I don't have any problem with that.
Well, my follow-on point would be that it was a trap set up. The Third Reich was a mess. It was never meant to be good or focused on the truth, the well-being of the German people. It was meant to be a suicidal mess from the beginning. At every turn, when Germany had an advantage, Adolf Hitler, by stupidity, seemed to make things many, many times worse. Whether it was to create a second front with Russia, whether it was to stop short when he had the British and the French on the run at Dunkirk, he allowed the British to escape. At every turn, there were critical decisions.
So what do you think? I mean, believe in what you do. Okay, what do you believe Hitler was trying to accomplish?
I think he was a puppet, and above him was the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church was trying to accomplish punishing Germany. I think the Catholic Church wanted, because Germany was the birthplace of the Reformation, and I think the Catholic Church, hey, here's proof. When we want to flagellate ourselves over the poor Japanese and the A-bombs. Meanwhile, you have the firebombing of Dresden. You have this unbelievable war crimes, these war crimes that were committed against the German people, of literally thousands of bombers wiping out whole cities. That's not military. That's vicious, brutal punishment. Hey, how about...
But who was responsible for that?
So, from my perspective, I would say this was a secret control of the American military by the Vatican. Secret control, and they did it by the secret keepers. They did it with the secret keepers like Franklin Roosevelt, who was a Freemason. Franklin Roosevelt died. He was replaced by a Freemason, Harry S. Truman, Harry Poophead Truman. Their top generals and admirals, whether it was Ernie King.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand you, okay? So Dresden was bombed and 160 other cities were bombed. So you feel that the Catholic Church had something to do with bombing those cities?
I think that ultimately the design of World War II was to slaughter the enemies of Rome, to make unbelievable amounts of money, and to restructure the geopolitics of the
Okay,
era.
so who is going to be in charge now then? If that happened?
America. And for that, I would defer to a phenomenal book, Rulers of Evil by Frederick Tupper Saucy, that says that the America was created from the ground up to be the sword arm of Rome. And this was the passing of the baton. I've got an even better example for you, Vietnam. So you've got the trafficking of opium and humans that was maintained through Britain and France, and the baton was passed from France to America. Philippines, the same thing. The trafficking of opium, humans and people, and the trafficking went from not Catholic France but Catholic Spain. The baton got handed off to America. So there was this a massive transition, a building of the American beast that is mentioned in Revelation 13, the beast that, of the land that makes everyone worship the beast of the sea. It is my contention, it's just my opinion, but based on my research, that the Vatican secretly controls the power that is the United States. And this is the whole purpose, especially of World War II into the Cold War, is to transfer that power.
If the Vatican does control the U.S. military, the Rothschilds control the U.S. military, and the Rothschilds...
No, the Rothschilds, they're the bankers. They're the managers. In the same way that BlackRock, they manage. They don't wield, they don't make decisions. They simply take the heat from making the usury. They are the managers of the funds. The owner of the funds makes the critical decisions. The manager of the funds simply manages. They are the patsies.
Okay, I do have a question for that. Okay,
sure.
I do understand that, but let's say BlackRock, okay, and BlackRock wants. I'm just going to throw this out. I'm not saying it happened. It did happen, but let's say BlackRock wanted to buy IBM, so they bought IBM. So who owns IBM now? If they bought it.
My first question is, I don't think that BlackRock has the power. I would say that BlackRock is a management facility that they are buying.
But they bought. I'm just telling you. They have $1 billion, and they just bought IBM for $1 billion.
Okay.
So to me, I would say they're not managing IBM. They owned it.
What did they buy it, or they buy it on behalf of a client? That's my question.
No, but I'm not saying you're wrong, okay? Because we don't know all the shill companies.
That's the important question. Yes. That's the critical question, Jim. The critical question is: are they taking the heat for being the one in the?
Look, I agree with you. That could be happening, but I don't know that because I'm just seeing the original purchase. Let's say BlackRock bought IBM for $1 billion, but you don't know if they were buying it, through another deal somewhere. Believe me, I get it.
As proxy. And then my follow-on question would be this, Jim. Of course, IBM has a long history. IBM, supposedly the guys that helped catalog Jews for the Nazis, okay? Now they're kind of not really a power player. There really used to be. They were the ones that made our computers for us. Now they're just kind of peripheral on the side. That's the kind of clickbait that I would throw out there if I wanted people to be, ooh, wow, that sounds really powerful, but how much did that really gain them taking over IBM? Same thing with, whether or not the Jews run Hollywood versus the Jews running the Pentagon versus the Jews running the CIA versus the Jews running the FBI. The FBI, founded by Charles Joseph Bonaparte, the great grandnephew of Napoleon Bonaparte, a hyper-devout daily mass Roman Catholic. The CIA, founded by Wall Street war profiteering lawyer, my old Bill Donovan, a Knight of Malta, Order of St. Gregory. The number of Catholics, Jesuit-trained individuals that have been directors of either the FBI or the CIA, a massive list. And I have like maybe one Jew who has ever run the CIA. As a matter of fact, you can look this up. Go on the internet, open source stuff, and say, why are Catholics so successful in the CIA? It's called Catholics in Action, and another euphemism for the company is the company. The nickname of the CIA is the company. You know what else that's a nickname for? The Jesuits. The Jesuits.
By the way, Jim, Giovanni's argument, and it's interesting because he was, correct me if I'm wrong, Giovanni, you were born and raised Roman Catholic, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're still You still consider yourself a Christian, correct?
Not still. I changed from one to the other. I became a born-again Christian. It is my contention that Catholic is not Christian. And I make a very strict line of demarcation between the two.
Giovanni's argument, and I think this was what was the catalyst between him and Dustin Nemos. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But Giovanni says it's not the Jews. That the Jews are just the scapegoat. That all roads lead to Rome, and it's
okay.
the
I want to be careful
with
question.
that. I want to be careful with that.
I got a good. Before I forget, because I'm getting old and I forget everything. I have a question for that. If the Jews, I mean, if the Jesuits are in control, you do admit that it seems like the Jews are the ones that get a Holocaust revisionist in prison. I don't think it's the Jesuits, are they? It's the Jews that bring the laws up to get the the Holocaust revisionists like myself. They want people like us in prison. I don't see anything about a Jesuit anywhere bringing up a law or influencing a government to put people like us in prison. I don't see Jesuits.
I do not say that it's not the Jews. What I say is that there are bad players, bad actors, absolutely, who happen to appear to have Jewish derivation, that they are middlemen and managers. Now, if you temporarily accept my hypothesis, Jim, that these are managers taking the heat and the spotlight, I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm saying that they are not the decision makers. They're taking the heat. Now, if I'm in charge and I want to stir people up, I'll do things like have my Jesuit Pope Francis Jorge Mario Bergoglio do things like he, instead of letting a rabbi kiss his ring, he'll kiss the rabbi's ring, and that'll stir him up. If I want to stir people up, I will stand back and I will allow a mechanism that appears to have a Jewish power structure beat down anyone that questions the Holocaust.
I agree with you there, but here's the thing, okay? Let's take the two really good Jewish organizations that, I mean, it seems like they're controlled by Jews. Okay, let's take the ADL. Where are the Jesuits in control of the ADL?
They don't have to do a damn thing. Just stand back and let the ADL be the ADL. They absolutely don't have to do a damn thing. Step back.
Okay, but what you gotta, I know, but you have to. There's gonna be a paper trail, a money paper trail between.
No, there doesn't.
The
oh my goodness, no. Here's where I say this. Again, Tupper Saucy and Rulers of Evil, the beat of the drum, when you are in thorough control, you can tailor. I mean, look at traffic, look at analytics on alternative media. Who gets the big numbers? Who gets the hits? Who is, for anybody to go on Twitter and say, the Jews censored me, the Jews beat me down. Are you kidding me? Twitter alone, which is one of the biggest, oldest social networking, it's every Jews. And then we'll step back, and every once in a while, we'll let the ADL flex its circumcised muscles and stir some poop around and get people frothed up. But ultimately, this is just players on the field that you have hands off. I'm not saying you're wrong or right. I'm just saying, who you got to show me the man behind the curtain that is controlled in the ADL that's Jesuit influenced, right? I mean, you got to show me. You got to show me the person that's behind the curtain that's doing it. I'm not saying you're wrong, but you got to show me the paper trail Jim,
of the guy.
I'm just saying the very existence of the ADL. They are the perfect toy to wind up and let go. Without talking
okay, but
to them.
Who's the person winding up them? Who's doing it? That's my question.
It's not a specific individual. They play into an overall arching machine that is ultimately controlled by Rome. And just by them being them, this is why Jews are so good to be patsies. They naturally are tribal. They naturally piss people off. They think in general that by giving favors to other Jews, they earn their salvation. They are naturally tribal.
Okay, I get another question for you. Okay,
sure.
This has to do because I believe that the Jews ran the mafia. I don't think the Italian mafia, I think, was working under the Jews. Okay, saying that. So where, think about the Jewish mafia and all the control they had in this country. They were the money men. The Italians were the guys who went out and beat up everybody. Okay, so the Jews paid the Italian mafia guys to do the dirty work. That's what I believe. Okay, now if I want to believe what you want to believe, you're gonna have to show me where the Jesuits step in above the Jewish mafia. Where are the Jesuits in control of the Jewish mafia?
My question to you, Jim, is do you have any data that supports your hypothesis? Can you show me, for instance, Meyer Lansky?
Wait a minute, Giovanni, you just answered his question with the question.
Correct, because I don't know how to properly answer his question. Let me finish.
Oh no, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that I'm making a statement that the Jewish mafia controlled all the mafia in the country. Okay, they controlled the Italians, the Russians, they controlled everybody.
That's a good statement. So Giovanni, what I'm trying to say,
my follow-on point is: do you have data to prove it? Can you prove that?
No, I don't have any data, but I'm just showing you what I'm seeing. I'm seeing when I see. Because I can't remember all the names of all the guys. Meyer Lansky being the big guy, okay? And they went to Cuba, and they moved everything out of the United States to Cuba, and then he ran the Jewish organization from Cuba and controlled everything going on in the United States. And all the Italian guys from the United States would come down to Cuba and have the meetings with Meyer Lansky. Meyer Lansky didn't go up to New Jersey and meet these guys. They came up to him because he was the guy in control. Now, that being the case, I don't see the Jesuits in this meeting at all. Anyway, where's the Jesuits?
Yeah, so I'm not saying Jesuits. I would say that for me, the data overwhelmingly, you've got names like Luciano, Capone, Gambino, Gotti, Costello, versus
they're all Italian. I agree with that.
Lansky, Siegel.
Right.
So here's my point. From my perspective, I would say that guys like Siegel, Bugsy Siegel, and Meyer Lansky are token Jews to give you the idea that the bankers are really running it. I haven't really looked too deep into the mafia, but I would say that how many.
Well, that's big. The mafia. Look at it. If it wasn't for the mafia, they control all of Las Vegas. They control all the money coming in for the drugs and everything later on, okay, and maybe even before. So I think they're the front men. I don't see any Jesuits anywhere. I mean, again,
you're not going to, but you are seeing Italian Catholics. You are seeing Italian Catholics.
I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that.
And to me, from what my research has shown, above the mafia is the government and the CIA. If anybody gets arrested for pushing drugs, it's because they're not on the take. It's because they're not part of that overarching. The mafia is beneath the CIA. Just ask poor Gary Webb. Just ask any of the whistleblowers. Oh my goodness, there's another Hispanic. Oh my goodness, whistleblower. If I can remember his name, I want to agree with both of you, and I think what's happening here is we're realizing that it's not just the Jews and it's not just the Jesuits. They're both the puppets and the front men for the hidden hand. That, like, there's no data for the hidden hand. That's how the hidden hand works. It's kind of like the Charterhouse rules, where there's no information, there's no money leading back.
Well, I can agree with that. Look. Let me tell you just where I stand with the Jews. Okay. Let me just make a point. Okay, so Johnny can understand where I come. I'm only interested with the Jews as it is with the Holocaust. That's it. I other than the Holocaust, I could care less about the Jews. Now, I really do see the Catholic Church being a problem. All right. Now, I don't talk much about it. I get a lot of Catholics that hate me for it. And I have done videos about the Vatican and the Vatican Bank, and I've done all that. I've exposed them as being the money behind a lot of bad things happening. I do. So, Johnny, I do agree with you on that. So I just want to let you know my only gripe against the Jews is with the Holocaust, because that's the topic they use against us today as a boot on our neck to keep everybody in submission. If you don't agree with the Holocaust, then you're anti-Semitic, you're a hater, and we want to kill you and put you in jail and all that. Okay, so as long as you understand that, I have no problem with the Catholic Church being either way above it all or whatever. Because again, the Vatican Bank, there's a lot of fishy things going on with that Vatican Bank that control a lot of things. I agree with that.
By the way, Giovanni, before you get into that, there's some questions in the live chat. They're saying that who is the Jesuit that controls the ADL and APAC?
Yeah, that's Jim's question. My point is that you don't have direct control.
Who's the Jesuit that controls B'nai B'rith?
Yeah, you don't need direct control. You just need them to be who they are. They don't have the power that you think they have. They're playing roles as bit players. That's that you don't need to have obvious. And don't you think that if those threads were there, it'd be easy? That's the last thing that they would want. They want compartmentalization. They want plausible deniability.
But the Jews do have a lot more influence. For example, in the chat, again, people are saying, according to the Jews, millions died, but so did gypsies.
How big an issue? Come on. How big an issue is the Holocaust? Holocaust is really a non-issue. This is what everybody gets frothed up over in alternative media. And I will say this. What I see is that the numbers were fudged on the Holocaust by design to get people frothed up. You take the pendulum and you swing it. And there are nut jobs out there that say it never even happened at all. And there are nut jobs out there to say whatever the ADL says, 6 million, 9 million, 12 million, whatever the number is, that's the right number. I believe that it was somewhere in between, because you needed a Holocaust to move.
I'll even debate that. Okay, I don't think any Jews were exterminated. So they weren't exterminated. I mean,
I tell you, there's a tremendous amount. There's a tremendous amount of evidence that something was going on in these camps. That not just Jews,
let me simplify it for you. Okay, everybody goes about this wrong about the Jews being exterminated. It's not who was exterminated; it's who survived the wall later. Okay, so how can we use that as a basis to determine how many Jews died? Well, the reparations, all the people that are collecting, the Jews now that are collecting reparations, it's around 5 million. Okay, that means there's 5 million Jews that survived.
From who?
Do you understand what I'm saying? 5 million Jews survived, so there was no 6 million that died. They all survived.
There's more surviving Holocaust survivors now in 2026.
Do we have any data on that? Do we have any data on that from reliable, trustworthy sources?
Well, just look at the reparations. Just look it up. How many Jews are collecting?
I'm not making the point, Jim. You're making the point. You should have a follow up and say, according to this source.
I don't have all this data because I don't care. I'm just making a statement that's true.
You got to make you can't say the statement's true because you say so.
Okay,
you say the statement's true because you have this evidence.
Okay, hold on. Look at Victor can look it up right now. How many Jews are collecting reparations? How many reparation people have collected reparations? Okay, and you're going to find out that around 5 million. 5 million Jews survived. So who died?
Well, the other thing is, and this is what's really, I guess, first of all, people are going to jail right now for this argument. So for people to say that the Holocaust is a non-issue, tell that to the people who are sitting in jail right now, because they said that it was maybe 5,999,999.
Right.
If they're off by one dead Jew, you're going to jail.
All right, I will tell you that I looked this up on. I can.
Hold on, Giovanni. Let me continue.
Okay.
I had a personal experience yesterday. I had a person who is a weekly guest, Jeffrey Silverman. And in my conversation with him, because I'm candid with everybody, I said, the Jews control the media. Immediately after the show, he sends me an email saying that if I don't stop talking about the Jews, or noticing essentially, that he won't be able to come back on the show because it turns out that the publication that he works for, the management, are all Jews. I said, ironically, in my response to him, I said, I respect whatever your decision is, if you feel like you can't come back on the show, because I'm just being honest. I'm not a shill. Nobody's controlling me. I'm controlled by, basically, I just say the truth. But I said, you just proved my point. I told you that the Jews control the media. Then you send me an email saying, please, curb your noticing. And I'm like, you just admitted that the publication you work for is controlled by Jews. So, I mean, the problem is, it's like, we've got a Jewish problem. Whether they're the Jesuits or whatever, hiding behind the scenes, or the Roman Catholics, whatever, like, nobody's really noticing that it's the Roman Catholics, but everybody's noticing that it's the Jews.
That's by design, Victor. That's absolutely you're proving my point by saying that. You're proving my point.
I agree. But they're doing a great job of doing it. Like, just because somebody says, hey, listen, your job is to be annoying, doesn't mean you gotta, like, go overboard with the annoying part. You know what I'm saying? Now they're so annoying that it's just like everybody's noticing, like you said.
Okay, so this makes sense. If you ask Google artificial intelligence, give me how many have collected Holocaust reparations, an exact number, a total number of individual Jews who have collected Holocaust reparations since World War II is not officially aggregated into a single figure. But historical,
you got to go to their, sites. You got to go to the Holocaust Museum or go somewhere there. Look, I looked this up way before, so I already know all this, and they admit around 5 million people have collected reparations. Now, here's the funny part about it. Okay, because it's either there's 5 million Jews that survived the war to collect that reparations, or there's a lot of Jews saying they were there during the war and they're lying about being there, and they signed up for reparations and they're lying.
By the way,
Jim, this source says you're off by a decimal point. 500,000 versus 5 million is a huge difference.
Oh no! The figure you're getting is a Jew figure. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know 5 million Jews have collected reparations because of the reason why I just said. Because it's going to really goof up their 6 million figure, showing that most of them survived.
Okay, so can you tell me what country they're getting this money from? Is it all from Germany? Do you think Germany would allow
a lot of the money? Yes, a lot of the money.
How much are they getting? 5 million Jews are getting how much money?
They've gotten probably close to 80 billion.
80 billion. Do you think that Germany is that stupid to bankrupt itself $80 billion towards Jews?
Yes. Well, they admit that's how much they paid. Okay,
I'd love to see that proof.
Okay, well, again, I don't deal with all this figure stuff because it's in my head, and I've already looked it up. If they don't bring it back on the internet for you to see it, then that just shows you what's going on.
But in this, by the way, it's just your opinion.
I want to point something out. And with all due respect, Giovanni, and what we're just having a conversation here. This isn't even. I think you're putting way too much trust in artificial intelligence, and I think
so too.
Just a quick source. I mean, I'm happy to let you guys show me the source. Show me the source.
Let me finish. I had this conversation with Jim Fetzer, and I played it on because I was on his show as his guest, and then he blacklisted me because I made him aware. I said, "You do realize artificial intelligence is Jewish,
right? And
what happens with artificial intelligence and you got to look it up. You can shake your head, but every part of artificial intelligence is Jewish. Sam Altman, all these people control it.
Prove it.
I don't have. That's the thing. It would take. I've done shows on. I've been doing shows on this for the longest time, and the evidence is there. You can go on my channel and you can see. I've proven it. I've shown the evidence.
Like, you can't make a point and say, "I here's my opinion, and my opinion's right because of this past show." You go look my show up.
Yeah, but I can because we're having a conversation. And when we're having a conversation, I can't be whipping out receipts because this show would go on for 10 hours. I'd have to start looking. So it's just it's up to the audience. The audience has a responsibility to verify these facts. I'm just telling you, and you could believe it or not, the way artificial intelligence works is they manipulate the data to go in the direction that they want you to believe. And it's been proven, they've even admitted it.
Right.
The evidence that I've shown is from articles in the Israeli Times and the Jerusalem Post that admit that the Jews control artificial intelligence. So my evidence is coming straight from the source. The Jews are saying this. So when you do and you ask your questions of Gemini and stuff like that,
I don't doubt that it's being manipulated, but the question is who is manipulating, and until you share with me your sources, I can't address it.
I'm just telling you again. There's a lot of information that is coming into my head. I don't have it in front of me. I never will. I don't care. I know what I read. I know what I get. If you, let's just
Jim, you're so lovable. I want to give you a big hug. You're so lovable.
Okay. Well, no. Look at, because again, I'm not saying you're wrong, Johnny. I'm just saying when it comes to the Holocaust, I have researched this for a long time.
I think it's extreme. I think the numbers have been played with. I won't go as far as you, Jim, and say it just doesn't exist.
I'm not saying people didn't die. Blah blah blah. Here's what I'm saying. Okay, so everybody that's listening will understand. The Germans had control of Jews in Europe, and they claimed there was approximately 4.5 million Jews that were under their control. So they possessed these people, and they ended up in camps and all over the place, right? So we got 4.5 million people. At the end of the war, I just mentioned, now we got the people that survived the war, and they were able to sign up for reparations, which gave them how many thousands of dollars a month, whatever the hell it was. There was about 5 million of them. So there were more Jews that survived at the end of the war than there were Jews that the Germans had under their auspices. They didn't have control of 6 million.
And you can verify this because this just came out, not that I believe the news, but this statistic just came out about a month ago. There's more Holocaust survivors alive now, which, by the way, I self-identify as a Holocaust survivor who dated Anne Frank. You can identify as anything now. And there are actually people who fought during the war alive. So that doesn't even make sense.
There's no way you can prove that, too. You show me a source on that. Show me a source that says there are more Holocaust survivors. There are more people bilking themselves. There are more fraudulent people pretending to be Holocaust survivors now than ever before. Yeah. Can you show me that? Can you prove that?
Well, I do agree with that.
I'm a Holocaust survivor. You're looking at a Holocaust survivor.
That's not proof. That's just you saying that. Can you prove that there are more frauds pretending to be Holocaust survivors today than there was right after World War II? Can you prove that?
Plus, I'm Jewish, so I'm a fat black Jewish.
Let's do media real quick. So the big money behind media is what's really valuable. Not the editors, not even the talking heads, the cockatoos, the Jim Brewer. I love Jim Brewer. Jim Brewer, Catholic, by the way, who calls the media cockatoos. Names like Conrad Black, Canadian media billionaire, Knight of St. Gregory, Knight of the Holy See, Claire Booth Luce, the Dame of Malta, devout Roman Catholic wife of propaganda magnate Henry Luce. Henry Luce, also a Dame, Knight of Malta. Gustavo Cisneros, Venezuelan Roman Catholic media mogul billionaire, one of only two in Venezuela. Eugene Paul Getty Jr., not necessarily Catholic, but the family went all in with John Getty, and he was born on a yacht outside of Genoa. Genoa, the black nobility nation state that created the Khazars back in the Middle Ages. Bob Guccione, the guy that wanted to be a priest and instead went to be a pornographer. Instead, the Jews run pornography. William Randolph Hearst, Knight of Malta. Leo Kirch, the German media mogul, devout Roman Catholic. Henry Luce, Knight of Malta. Two, Kirch, Hearst, and Luce, Knights of Malta. Mort Zuckerman, Jewish guy, Canadian media billionaire, University of Pennsylvania, Wharton School of Business, friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Wharton School of Business, to me, is a Jesuit connection underneath the surface.
I'm not disputing all the names. There are probably billions of
Vic,
Roman...
have you heard of them before? Here's my point. You've never heard of them before. You've only heard of Jews. Here's the names you've never heard of.
I've seen House magazine. I grew up in the days before porn, where I'd go into my father's drawer, open it up, and see Playboy and Penthouse, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is amazing!" So,
all right, listen,
5-year-old
I don't want to get into your youth. I don't want to get into your seedy youth. Okay, pal.
Nowadays, 5-year-olds are
Hey,
are
what
learning
day
how
did
to
Hugh
fix.
Hefner die on? Did Hugh Hefner die on May 14th? No, he died on September 27th, the birthday of the Jesuits. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Listen, I believe I'm not disputing anything that you're saying. I understand that there's evil in every single race, creed, color. Evil is everywhere. But we're realizing now that it's not just the Jews, that it's the Roman Catholics, but the hidden hand above them is the ones that we may never know.
Sure.
Because
Hey, listen, Jim and I are
they're using-
simpatico. Jim and I are simpatico. All I want is for you to allow that there may be other players that are not as visible.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%, Johnny. Look at I'm with you on there being a lot of Catholic people involved. Okay, I'm glad you're saying it because I got a lot of flack for saying it when I was talking.
God bless your honesty. Okay? God bless your honesty.
Well, no. I get a lot of Catholic people that they used to watch my walk and talks and the things I do, and then they don't want to have anything to do with me because I talked about the Vatican.
You're giving truth. You're giving truth, and they are vested.
I was telling them the truth.
They're vested, Jim. They have to have, as Catholics, they have to have a 100% non-Catholic responsible fall guy, or else they have to examine their own religion, their own church. Just on the child rape alone, you cannot stand. Sean Hannity claims that he's no longer Catholic because he had to walk away from when the Catholic Church was dealing with systemic child rape that they were getting away with the help of secular separation of church and state governments. So at the bare minimum, the rank and file Catholics, passionate Catholics, they cannot examine their own church and acknowledge at least these points that I'm making. You can say, hey, there are some bad Jewish actors, there's some bad Catholic actors, but for them it's all or nothing, and that's a problem. I think it's myopic.
Yeah, no, I agree.
We were led to this conversation thanks to Dustin Nemos, who is starting this.
This is a real debate. That bullshit that Nemos pulls, that's not a debate. That's a puppet show. That's an act. Hey, react. Did I had no clue. One of the reasons I was so upset and frustrated, here's a guy that pretends to be a Christian pastor going to tell me that Jewish Jesus is white with blue eyes and hates Jews and wants you to exterminate them because Yahweh wanted you to exterminate the Nephilim. I could not believe that was the book. This is what the debate should have been. This is what it should have been.
I want to get back to the point that Jim Rizoli made about the Holocaust and why this is so significant. First of all, the definition of Holocaust is it's a burnt offering. So it's got nothing to do with gas chambers or anything like that. Again, it's deception. Just like Dustin Nemos uses. He's a satanic Christian. Some call him a crypto Jew, whatever you want to call it. He uses misinformation and disinformation and deception. So they're putting people in jail right now. They're making up terms like anti-Semitic, which is a term even the Jews admit is a weaponized term. Same thing with racism. Racist was a term created by a Jew, and it's used, again, to divide because it's divide and conquer. But the point is, I visited the concentration camp at Dachau, and it didn't make any sense to me. They didn't have enough crematoriums to kill the number of people that they killed. Yeah. Simple mathematics, and looking at it, I was like, wow, something's wrong with this. Also, there were a lot of things in these concentration camps. They were work camps. And also, you realize if they wanted to kill them, they would have just starved them the way the U.S. president did to the German soldiers after the war. They just rounded them up, didn't feed them, didn't give them water, and they had snipers. And they died within a week. So they wouldn't have gone to the expense of actually moving these people around. They had hospitals, they had movie theaters, they had swimming pools, they had whorehouses because they wanted to keep the workers happy. Yeah. So they wouldn't have done this if they were just aiming to kill them. They would have never even put them in a trade. They would have lined them up, shot them, and that's it.
Where they stood. They wouldn't have shipped them in railroad cars 500 miles just to kill them,
Yes, and the point is also when you go to Auschwitz, they even admitted at the end of the tour, the Russians built those chimneys afterwards, not during. And also the chemicals that they used, that wasn't used for killing anybody. That was used to delouse them because they were like, all sorts of diseases going on. And then also again, they lie to people so much and people don't think. The doors opened in. First of all, you couldn't fit 1,000 people in that room. Yeah. And if 1,000 people died in that room, try opening something in if there's something blocking it. And plus there was glass on wooden doors. If you're being choked to death, instinct is you break the glass. Nobody broke the glass. So I'm just saying, I'm not saying that people didn't die during the Holocaust. The actual numbers, according to the physical death receipts, if you want to talk about receipts, they actually went through it. They found out it was about 200,000. And most of them died because after the war, they couldn't get food to them. The actual people who killed them were the U.S. military because they are doing what they're doing now to killing everybody. They're creating famine. They're creating this energy crisis. Let me tell you, the U.S. military, I don't know if they're run by the Jesuits or the Jews or who, they're evil as heck. The U.S. is evil. You want to say it's the Vatican. I'm saying it's the U.S. They're ready to kill people all over the world, man. I went to the...
I know. Yeah.
I saw that. And it said 500 million people. That's the number that they're going for. Didn't say 500 million Jesuits or Jews. It just said people. So they're looking at...
Well, Johnny, even though he didn't make this point today, but there is something to consider about the Catholic Church when they came over here way in the 1700s. They opened up a lot of schools and places where they educated the kids. So he's right. I do agree with that. They had a lot of control of the educational system in the United States that people don't even understand about that. Now I don't know how evil it got. They say a lot of their priests were accused of doing all these bad things, which I don't know if that was true or not. But the Catholic Church did have a lot of control of the orphanages, schools, educational system, the whole parochial system, and all that. So I do agree with that. Okay. So if Johnny, if he wanted to go on that, if he ever got into that, I don't know. But that's a big thing. That was a big thing way back,
Sure. So my concern is that for Vic saying I was at Dachau, I was there and it didn't make sense. Doors opening, glass on doors. It's your personal opinion. It's not necessarily something that I would consider a hard fact. I would just say it's very dangerous. You're actually playing into their hand by saying,
wait a minute.
Hang on, let me finish. Good grief. Guy, you went on for a while. Can I get a little bit in? Let me get a little in. Let me get a little in.
Hold on a second.
Come on.
Hold on a second. Come on. You're saying that's my opinion.
It is.
Have you ever been?
I have an opinion. I haven't been there. That's my opinion. I haven't been there. Your opinion is I've been there. Does that mean that because you were there and you have an opinion?
I got to take you seriously, and this is respectful. Your opinion. Have you ever tried opening a door in when there's like a mattress?
I have to take your word for it that has any play whatsoever. Are you making the claim? Let me answer your question. So you're claiming that you were in a room that was supposedly a killing room that opened in, and because you saw the door opening in, that to you proves that it wasn't a killing room. I don't understand your point.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying as a reasonable adult, forget about killing room. Let's say there's like 1,000 pounds of shit in glad bags. And the door that you're trying to open goes, Can you tell me, and again, this is about credibility here, Giovanni. Can you tell me that there's 1,000 pounds of shit and you're going to be able to just open that door and push that 1,000 pounds of shit aside? And also, you're telling me that instinctively you're gassed. Let's say somebody farts real bad and there's a glass in a wooden door. You're just going to sit there and go, instead of fucking breaking that glass and getting some fresh air. These are like, forget about the Jews and the killing rooms. I'm saying you're gonna sit there and smell the fart instead of smashing that glass? And you're
Vic,
gonna open that door?
my question, my follow on is, how are you proving any of this? How are you proving any of this? So
Johnny,
you're saying
I can listen. I've been studying the Holocaust for quite a few years. I probably have more knowledge about it than most people you guys could ever even talk about. But the whole thing with the Holocaust, it's a narrative. It stands on the merit that there were gas chambers that killed people. Well, there were no gas chambers. Okay, so how did the people die? Okay, if you claim Auschwitz, they claim 1.1 million people died in the Auschwitz camp. Well, how did they die? There were no gas chambers.
And it was totally ineffective. It's the most ineffective way of killing people. Again, think about the logic here, Giovanni. Just practicality. You're going to transport 6 million Jews on trains, get them into places, delouse them, feed them, clothe them, when you could just fucking shoot them, man. A bullet costs less than...
No, because slave labor was a thing. Slave labor was a thing. And absolutely, there was a big role in slave labor. You mentioned delousing. Delousing is not because the Jews were living like animals. It's because prisoners, whoever the prisoners were being kept in horrible conditions and had to be sprayed down because of body lice. So that to me says there's something else. Basically, here's my concern. My concern is these are just your opinions, guys. You cannot point to documentation and say
it's not my opinion. I have all the facts. I have all the facts. That I just did a whole video this morning using the Holocaust Museum's video. I did an overlay talking over it because they were talking about the camps. Okay, and I already just did last week another video. The first video I did was about Auschwitz, and they were saying all the stuff that people were killed in gas chambers and Zyklon B and all this and that. But there were no gas chambers.
You got to go there, Giovanni. It'll open your eyes.
Yeah, the thing is, all these people, all these Holocaust survivors, the way they learned about the gas chambers was by Steven Spielberg's movie Schindler's List. Okay, there was no gas chambers for people to talk about. That's why they never talked about it. When the movie came out, then it was a big story. Everybody's, gas chambers. Now they can talk about the fake gas chambers that never existed. So the thing is, if you're going to believe that 6 million people were killed during the Holocaust, then you're going to have a weapon that killed them. Well, the weapon... What's that?
Rudolf Höss, H-O-S-S, the commandant of Auschwitz. He was Jewish too, right? He was covering it up. He was bringing the Jews in. Oh, no, he was Roman Catholic, like so many other Nazis. Another Catholic connection. Listen, guys, you guys can make these accusations all you want, but honestly, I think it discredits you by claiming that really didn't happen at all.
Me. I could prove everything I say. In the thing, Höss, you want to believe Höss? You know how many people he said died in Auschwitz? He said 3 million.
Do you think he would know as the commandant?
No.
Why is he lying?
They don't use.
So why would he lie?
Wait a minute, hold on.
He's Catholic.
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why he lied, because they beat the shit out of him. Okay, and they were going to send his family to Siberia if he didn't say 3 million Jews died in the Holocaust there in Auschwitz.
Who's they? Now, who's they?
Okay, hold on. I'm not done. Hold on. Okay, so Höss said that 2.5 million people were killed in gas chambers, and then another 500,000 were killed by being shot or whatever. Okay. Well, the problem is you can't prove any of that. Now, today, they claim... Now, remember, Höss said 3 million. Today, they don't use Höss's statement because they know he's a liar, and they know he was tortured. And you can't use a person who was tortured to get their testimony about anything. So
that is true. He was tortured. That's
1.1 million.
Who tortured him? Who tortured him?
The Jews. I'm just kidding. Somebody tortured him.
The Allies tortured him. They beat the shit out of him. Yeah, they beat the shit out of him. There's all stuff written about that. But
forget about what's written. You got to go there, Giovanni.
Do both. There's something to be said for both.
I was brought up buying that whole lie. Once you go there, man, you're like, holy cow, they lied to me. That's the biggest thing. Like, anybody who goes there, they can't unsee it. And when you're walking around there and you're seeing it, you're like, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe they lied to me. Like, for example, I never knew that there were a lot of Catholic priests, there were a lot of homosexuals, there were a lot of gypsies. It wasn't just the Jews. The way I was brought up was it was like 6 million Jews, that's it. No, man. People who dared to speak out, like you, Giovanni, if you said, hey, listen, I don't believe in this isn't right, they would have put your ass in there too and killed you too. That's one thing that's weird about the Jews too. So it's only 6 million Jews that died? Why don't you talk about the Catholics that died, the gypsies that died, the fucking, so many people died there. It wasn't just the Jews. I had to physically go there and see it to realize
I think you can find that. I think you can find on reputable sources that certainly Jews being killed by the Third Reich take the lion's share of the propaganda. I just think it is unwarranted to say there was no persecution of Jews whatsoever.
I'm not saying that. I'm admitting that the Jews were put in the camps. I admit that, and I admit they were being used for slave labor. I admit that. Okay, and I admit some were probably shot and killed. I admit that. But no 6 million, nothing even close to it, maybe a couple 100,000. Okay, that's a big difference between 6 million.
Yeah, sure. I don't know the numbers. I would say that 6 million
those
Jews.
Are the numbers that look at. They have reports from that were given by people that went in the camps and looked at these camps. Okay, the Red Cross went in there and they were looking at all the camps, how many people died, and do you know that in all the deaths that they saw, people that were dead, right? The dead bodies. Not one of the bodies was examined to show that they were killed by Zyklon B. How the hell could that be? If all the Jews are supposed to be killed by Zyklon B gas, they examined these bodies. They did autopsies on these bodies. There were no bodies that were killed with Zyklon B gas.
And again, Jim, I need you to show me that, prove that to me, as opposed to saying I did a video on it. I've got knowledge on it.
There's look at again. I don't have it all with me, but there were people that went into camps and they did the investigations. You can find all this stuff up.
The argument that you're giving, Giovanni, and realize I don't interrupt you. This time is like different because we're having a discussion. But when you were on before with Luke and everything, you normally dominate the conversation. You can go back and read the comments of the shows that we've done, and I love having you on the show.
Well, sure.
But you got to admit, you totally dominate the conversation.
I would happily shut up if there's somebody's wanted to say something.
Well, everything that I have said everything I have said so far can be proven. Again, doctors went into Auschwitz. They examined the bodies. They saw. Okay, here's something nobody talks about. This is really good. Okay, when somebody gets killed with Zyklon B cyanide, because that's what it is. It's cyanide. When you take cyanide, guess what color you turn? You turn pink. Okay, it's the same color when people put the gas in the carbon monoxide from the car. You turn pink. That's what happens when people gas themselves in cars and take cyanide pill, or they want to kill themselves. Okay, they turn pink. Well, you ever notice they never show you any of the bodies in color when they show you the bodies in the camps? You know why? Because if they showed you that they're in color, there was nobody pink. They'd have to show you pink people.
Again, listen, guys, I like to move on from this because really this is just your opinions. And there's nothing for you to pull up.
I'm telling you, go look up cyanide poisoning. What color you turn?
I'm not saying that's not an accurate depiction of what happens. I'm saying you're making the claim. You're making the claim that all the bodies were examined and none of them were pink. So therefore, no one was. How do I believe that? How do you prove that?
Then the doctors are lying. Then you could say the doctors are lying.
Okay. Let's move on from the Holocaust. Can we move on? Because it's kind of like an impasse. All right. Let's move on from the Holocaust.
Let's move on to that. But then I need to understand how we are then supposed to believe anything that you say.
I'm giving you names, places, and dates. I just gave you a long list of powerful billionaires that are involved in media. I can keep going with managers. I have a list
we don't deny that. I don't deny any of that.
Okay, that's my point. That's my point.
But I'm just
So
saying,
it's not my opinion. It's not my opinion. I'm giving you actual names of billionaires involved.
Okay, so can you name the guys that running the stations today? Okay, that are running the Hollywood, all the what do you call it, stations, whatever you ever call them, movie businesses today. How many of them are Catholic?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I can.
I'm talking there's probably six or seven of them, right? So
well,
how many?
I don't have a separate database that divides up the billionaires versus like the actors. I've got a database of like almost 400 names of people connected to the Catholic Church, to include moguls and actors and directors, guys like Alfred Hitchcock, guys like, I have a massive database. I'm happy to read just the A's.
There's 6 major film companies.
Right. Film companies.
Major film companies. How many of those are owned by Jews?
Yeah,
that's the question.
So let me tell you, we have a false premise here. You are making the claim that Jews owning Hollywood shows their power. I'm telling you, the real power is in making war. The real power is in controlling governments. The real power. It's not my opinion. All right. I'll let the audience figure that out. What's more valuable? What's more valuable? Making war or making movies? I'll let the audience figure that out. Okay? It's easy. It's a give me. It's a gimme. Having Jews supposedly run Hollywood is a gimme that you guys can get wrapped up over, that really there's very little power involved in. I can read you some of these 400 some odd names if you're interested.
No, thanks. And again, please don't take this personally. I'm just throwing back at you what you've been throwing back at me.
No, you're not. You're throwing me opinions, and I'm giving you names, places, and dates.
Yeah, but you just gave your opinion.
In that case, I stand by that. I stand by that one subjective statement that making war, trafficking women and children, trafficking in drugs, the owning and running governments is far more valuable to the machine than making movies. I will stand by that one subjective statement.
I'll agree with you on that too. But the thing is, are you saying that the people that are making the wars are Catholic?
Oh my goodness, yes. Oh
okay,
my goodness.
So
how about the Secretary of War right now that's got a tattoo of the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre on his titty? How about the Vice President of the United States that helped create Rumble, J.D. Vance? What religion is he? Do you want me to go through the Donald Trump?
But that doesn't mean anything to me. They're just men that are there that have a position. I mean, that they're not. What are they running? I mean,
their decision. What does the Secretary of War run? He runs war.
Nothing. He's just a puppet, Giovanni.
Oh,
that guy Hegseth used to work for Fox News, complete drunk. Same thing as, you don't really believe that Donald Trump is calling the shots, do you? There's somebody above Donald Trump.
He is playing a role. He is playing a role. But what matters is, for instance, the so-called deep state. Who is he surrounding himself with? Is he surrounding himself with Jews or, lowercase j, Jesuits?
I've never seen a deep state, so I don't even know what a deep state is.
Well, it means the bureaucracy. It means the bureaucracy. Okay, the people that aren't hitting the scenes, and I'm telling you, I think you're dismissing too much what these people actually do. Secretary of War and Vice President. I think it's a little too dismissive to say they don't have any power whatsoever.
The war cabinet guys are the ones that make the decisions. He's the one that gives you the decision. He doesn't make the decision to go to war. The cabinets, the people that run the cabinet that make the decision.
The military guys. You want me to go through some of the military names?
Well, Trump doesn't make any decisions. He takes orders from his cabinet.
And just like you were saying earlier, Jim, Trump is Jewish trained, right? Oh no, he's Jesuit trained. Who trains the puppets to play their roles? Who runs infrastructure? Who runs hospitals, orphanages, and schools? Who owns confessionals? Who listens to the sins of the rich and shameless and then catalogs that and then uses it for blackmail? The Roman Catholic Church dominates that.
Any of that.
Dominates that.
The Jesuits are Jews. Just another thing, by the way.
Whoa. The Jesuits are Jews.
Yeah, the Jesuits are Jews.
Says
but
who?
you can have your own opinion. You can have your own opinion.
No, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You can say I'm a piece of green cheese. Jesuits are Jews, and I'm a piece of green cheese. What an asinine, ridiculous statement. Prove that to me. Are you kidding me?
That's just my opinion. But going back, I want to respectfully disagree with both you and Jim Rizoli about the difference between Hollywood and movie making and war. And I'll go to the interview that 60 Minutes did with the Mossad agent who said, we are the directors, we are the producers, we are the screenwriters.
What are you talking about? What interview of what 60 Minutes and what Mossad agent?
I've played it on my channel. Check this out. The guy says, the world, he says, the world is our stage. You're watching a movie. Everything that you've witnessed, everything that we've seen right now since the inception of Hollywood itself is programmed to manipulate the masses. Right now they have that hantavirus thing. It's so clear they have these crisis actors. They had the one guy during the COVID telling everybody,
yeah, COVID. Now, COVID. Now, who was the name and the face of COVID? A Jew? How about
Fauci.
Anthony Fauci? Fauci,
Yeah.
a Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic. Why was he there? Because he was the name and face of the AIDS scam. A Jesuit-trained Roman Catholic.
Totally. Again, I'm not disputing that Catholics are cunts. I've been to the Vatican, okay? And when I went to the Vatican, like I said, I was born and raised Roman Catholic, but that place was super evil, man. I know. I've been there, and I saw shit that I was like, whoa. Dude, I was at a freaking, like a satanic orgy place, walking distance from the Vatican, okay? And how I ended up there, I've told this story before. I just went out for some water. I met some famous fashion designer who was like, oh, you're from New York, come with me. He took me to this place. Next thing you know, I'm like outside the Vatican at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out how to get back home. And the shit that I saw down there was like, holy cow. And then when you go into the Vatican, and I've been there a number of times, there's so much evil shit there, dude. It's like totally satanic. So I'm not disputing that all roads lead to Rome. But you got to walk past Rome to see where the hidden
Jerusalem.
hand is. Well, that's...
I'm teasing. Listen. We have a... Listen, I love you guys. I'm going to bow out. I'm going to bow out because this is a good vibe. I had a good time. And it's almost 2 hours. It's just short of 2 hours. I'm gonna bow out and say I love you both. I had a great time. And we'll just leave it.
Well, that's a shame because we've actually got clips about Dustin Nemos. We haven't even gotten into Dustin Nemos.
No, my favorites. Oh, my goodness. We'll save it for next time.
If we switch the topic, will you stay 15 minutes and just comment?
I've got to go. I'm sorry. I've got to go. I will stretch it out. My wife is actually home from work today, and we have stuff going on, but I will stretch it out. God, what's our new topic?
Okay, let's move on to some of this Dustin Nemos stuff here because he's the one who brought us all together.
It's cringe.
Yeah, it is cringe. Let's get into the stuff that he was claiming as far as the stuff against you and everything. And he claims that everybody's a pedophile. I think you're on the pedophile list.
Am I already on the pedophile list?
I think you are, man. So here's some of his new stuff, by the way. Let's see Dustin Nemos's latest here. First of all, he's always wearing the sackcloth. I don't know if you've noticed that, but here we go.
When I come out in a sackcloth and a crazy beard, as the Bible says, don't mar the corners of your beard, and I don't. I just let it look crazy and bushy. When I look like this and I come out saying Jews are Nephilim demons and God hates them all and white Jesus is going to kill them all, etc., they obviously will mock me, call me crazy, and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah. So here he is with what you were saying about the white Jesus and to kill them all and everything. And he's wearing the sackcloth. But look, he tries to make pretend that he's suffering. Meanwhile, he's got a nice cotton shirt underneath here. So it's all a ruse. It's all nonsense.
Hey, whoa. That is a brilliant point. That is a brilliant point. Did you know that the purpose of wearing sackcloth was because it irritates the skin? So if you have an undergarment underneath the sackcloth, it has no purpose. Well done you, Victor. Well done you.
Well, that's his thing.
This is the Christian pastor claiming Jews are Nephilim and Jesus will kill them all. Jews are Nephilim and Jesus will kill them all. Are you out of your mind? I fully understand why anyone that legitimately believes that there's a Jewish plot would want this guy pulled out of alternative media. I fully understand that. And what we've already examined is the guy has a rap sheet as long as my arm. So when you look at someone who's been 26, 27, 28 times involved with law enforcement, to include a $1 million bail that had, at the bare minimum, drug paraphernalia within 1,000 feet of a child daycare, with the possibility that he was accused of, what's the actual term, sexual depravity. Oh, by the way, did you notice this, Vic, that you have this access to this rap sheet? This was done on 27 September 2004, either the actual infraction or the arrest. That's the birthday of the Jesuits. I find that very interesting. That's neither here nor there. The fact is that we've got somebody with a very long interaction, frequent criminal interaction with law enforcement, now saying absolutely batshit crazy things, misrepresenting himself as a Christian pastor. Okay? So clearly this guy is not what he appears to be. He is not what he appears to be.
I mean, this is his rap sheet, and it goes on and on and on. And the thing is, with the cyber stalking and the breaking and entering and the you made a very good point when you discussed the child sex allegations, because you looked that stuff up and you found out that some of that's, so that makes sense why he has so many people on his pedophile list. If you are someone that disagrees with him or that, yeah, he's projecting. Can you share with the audience that may not have seen? I've posted your report on my channel. Can you share what you found there? Because that's very telling. Everybody who disagrees with him is on his ever-growing pedophile.
If you can scroll down, there is an infraction code, SDC, Sierra Delta Charlie, and then a space, 4DA, 4 Delta Alpha. And it certainly looks like that infraction code means sexual deviant conduct or possibly sexual deviant intercourse. And 4DA is likely 4th degree sexual assault or a similar classification. Now, this lends credence to why there was a $1 million bail. You don't get a $1 million bail for getting caught with pot or getting caught with a crack pipe. You get a $1 million bail for being considered a danger to children, to minors. So I don't have absolute proof, but it sure looks like that's what the evidence is. And it's very interesting to me that this was, like I said, either the infraction or the arrest was done on 27 September. But certainly there's something disconcerting here. And you've got a guy that's had this much interaction with police. And you notice how he doesn't. So if you're a real Christian, Vic, if you're a real Christian and you've got this and this information is public, you would at the bare minimum be constantly saying, listen, that's my past. That's not who I am now. I am born again in Jesus Christ. I walked away from that life. He says none of that. He says absolutely none of that. And why? Is he hiding something? Is he hiding that because he had this extensive criminal past, that pressure was put on him to play a role? That certainly has weight with me. That is an accusation that has weight with me. I can't say that I was there when he signed the agreement with the FBI agents. I can't say that. But I can tell you that I'm not making up his rap sheet. He's had interactions with the hit so much I had to create an Excel spreadsheet.
That brings me to this latest that people are saying is a psyop, and that this guy is like Dustin Nemos when it comes to being a controlled operative. trying to incite, the way Dustin Nemos is trying to incite the hatred against Jews. This guy is doing the thing with the incitement of hatred against blacks. This guy, Chud the Builder, I never heard of this guy until the audience brought this to my attention. But this goes to what you just said, Giovanni. This guy is attempted murder, and his bond is the same as Dustin Nemos if you take into account the year that Dustin Nemos was arrested. 1 million, it would have been about $1.5 million like this guy.
Wow. Yeah, good point.
This is like, how can he claim, and he still keeps lying about it. He's claiming that you're making this stuff up. Look at this. This is happening right now.
Listen, I say the same thing. I say the same thing about Handsome Truth, John Minadio, and Stu Peters. Rappers, all of a sudden, these guys are the foundation of the movement to let people know these guys are playing a role. These guys are actors who are playing a role. You're skeptical. I would be too. I'm absolutely skeptical. These people, let me tell you, here's another trope. The only racists are white neo-Nazis. That is a counterintelligence trope. Racism is a human failing. All people have some level of racism in them, and very, 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 very few are stupid enough or willing enough to make statements like John Minadio that, out there flashing the Roman Nazi salute and laughing off the idea that another false flag school shooting occurred because the shooter listened to his neo-Nazi propaganda. That the guy goes out in public and puts eye makeup on. Here's another extremely controlled asset of the machine. Look at Stu Peters. They all fit this same counterintelligence operative dossier of playing a role. And so the follow-on question is, as you guys, I think it was Vic that you said that, this is, now whether or not you're saying people are waking up, this is so common, it's everywhere, and yet people representing my point of view, rationally, not saying batshit crazy stuff, they're just not out there, they're not to be heard. So clearly there is some sort of counterintelligence operation going there to distract truth seekers. That, bare minimum, we all agree on that. There's something going on. As to who it is that's pulling the strings, you guys got to do your own research, figure it out. Go watch Jim's videos and figure it out. Yeah,
this doesn't make sense to me, because just like you said, Giovanni, the amount of money that was placed on Dustin Nemos, and again, this is public record, over $1 million. This is exactly what this guy was involved in a attempted murder in front of a courthouse and everything like that. So what you pointed out with those child sex charges and all that stuff, that makes total sense now.
Right.
But of course, you said that those charges were kind of hidden, and that makes sense if you're going to have him as a COINTELPRO, as an operative working for the government, first to do the Q, Trust the Plan, Operation Trust during the Bolshevik Revolution.
Yes.
And now do the crazy modern day Jim Jones cult leader telling everybody to kill every single last Jew.
Yeah,
including unborn children, because it says it in the Bible, Obadiah.
Right.
So here we have two cases. One, the racist, and again, I don't know, I've never heard of this Chud the Builder has a right to free speech, but apparently what this guy did is he would go up to random black people on the street and just call them niggers, trying to incite violence while basically filming the stuff. And apparently he went a week before and said that he was going to do this. So this seems like a psyop again to me. They're just trying to incite people. And I do believe that this is the job that Dustin Nemos is doing, because it's weird that he goes and he fights with everybody. He has like fights with you. He has fights with everybody. He's just always looking to pick fights. So you dodged a bullet there, Jim Rizoli, in getting involved with this.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I try to stay away from the personality conflicts with people. Okay, I'll make my statements and I'll move on. Okay, so people complain about Johnny, the people complain about you, complain about me. I just don't. I like to just deal with talking and present your facts, move on, and there you go. I don't even know Dustin Nemos. I have no idea what the hell he does. Whatever.
What's your take on the whole Chud thing, by the way?
I haven't really. I haven't really saw what happened there. So what happened? This guy Chud, is that his name or something? He shot something.
This is what's interesting about it, and this was where I see the problem. There is a double standard in the United States because there was a guy who killed a white young man, and he was a black guy, and he killed the white guy because the white guy told the black guy, "Listen, you're in the wrong locker room." It was apparently some high school thing or something. Anyway, the murderer got $250,000 bond and was let out of jail, and his Give Send Go account turned him into a millionaire. Now he's living in a mansion with his family. Basically, he got away with murder, and he made a lot of money because he's black. So the thing that's happening in the United States is white people are starting to realize if you're white, you pay way more and get harder criminal justice, because this Chud apparently was involved in a fight with the black guy, and he was trying to defend himself. And now he's facing, pretty serious time in jail, and he can't get out of jail. That's what Dustin Nemos was crying about during the X Space. He said he spent a lot of time in jail because he couldn't make the bond.
Not because he's a political prisoner, but because he's robbing people, because he got caught with somebody else's stolen firearm. Okay? Yeah. Paul says in the Bible, if you get beat down by the government because you're a good guy and the government is behaving in an evil fashion, good for you. You stand with your head held high. But if you go and rob your neighbor, if you're trespassing, as Nemos was arrested for, and you're breaking and entering, as Nemos was arrested for, and you're caught with an illegal firearm that didn't belong to you, as Nemos was arrested for, then you've got nothing to hold your head high for. And neither can you have the gall to claim you're a Christian. You are a fraud, and you will stand before the King of the Jews, Jesus Christ, and give a full account of your fork-tongued bullshit.
By the way, there's more to this story, and I've started looking into this because the audience is so amazing. They brought this to my attention yesterday during a live show, and I was totally unaware of this. Mind you, I'm near the former Soviet Union and the Russian border, so we really don't pay attention to all the crazy psyops going on in the U.S., but it does make sense. Before going to the courthouse and getting into this fight with the black guy, he did a dine and dash at a restaurant where he was apparently had a $500 or $400 food and alcohol bill, and he just took off. So he's not a good guy. And again, this guy fits the bill like with Dustin Nemos, because Dustin Nemos makes pretend that he's Mr. Christian and everything, but there's two sides to these stories here, and that's all we're doing.
I'll tell you, Vic, I want to say that as a journalist, as an investigator, I have to be careful because it seems like absolutely everything in the headlines, absolutely everything that comes out seems to be some kind of a manipulated event that is not legitimate, not sincere, not what they're telling us. Now, I have to be careful with that as a journalist, because if I just make a blanket statement, everything in the news is fake, and then there's some level of legitimacy. Let's just say that this satanic machine has a criminal that they pull out of prison to actually hurt people, and I make a stupid statement because it's fake, that it's a manipulated event, but I make the mistake nobody died when they actually had a real killer actually killing people, then I discredit all of us. So I have to be careful with that, but I got to tell you, like I said, it seems like every single headline is at the bare minimum manipulated. It is unnatural for people to go around calling black guys by the N-word. It is just not natural. And this this fits the trope that I just told you. The trope is the counterintelligence trope is the only racists are white neo-Nazis. That's a trope. Racism, and this is why, and I want you in the audience to be careful with this. They are using you. They are manipulating you. You look at some bullshit like this, and you see that this guy is almost
You're muted now, all of a sudden. You're muted, Giovanni. But anyway, I guess what you're saying is that it's the Jesuits that are manipulating all of you. So
no, that's
beware.
not what I'm saying. Check test. Check test.
Okay, now you're back.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying don't be easily manipulated. Don't be easily manipulated. You see a false flag like this, and this clown here. That supposedly is a vicious white racist, and you see that it's probably a bullshit lie or a fraud, and it makes you angry towards black racists. You are still being played in the pendulum. It is bigger than that. Racism is a human failing across all ethnicities. You are being played in a Hegelian dialectic. Love the blacks, hate the blacks. Love the Jews, hate the Jews. That is my point. You are being manipulated with your emotions. Look past it.
Divide and conquer. And
Amen.
So here's this guy again.
There will be a revolution, but we, the remnant, are not going to be like beating the enemies with guns. You know, we're going to be teaching people the truth, and maybe that will start a revolution. But I mean, how could it not? But we're not going to be winning this militarily or kinetically. We win this through our weapons, which are words and spirit and spiritual weapons. We have far more powerful than anything that they have. We can change people on the inside. We can reach into their own soldiers and change them with the power of our testimony. Beat me, kick me, hit me harder because people are watching. Let them see.
Yeah.
No idea what he's talking about. Beat me, kick me. Maybe that what he does behind closed doors, I don't want to know of. And honestly, so here's this clown that says all Jews are Nephilim. Yahweh, white Jesus hates the Jews. White Jesus wanted the Nephilim wiped out, man, woman, and child. So he's building lie on bullshit on lie on bullshit, and then serves it up to his audience, and his audience is expected to conduct violence against Jews and start a government crackdown. And anybody who is a truth seeker, Reuters did a write-up on Dustin Krieger. Reuters. Now, why would Reuters do a write-up on Dustin Krieger? Because Reuters says this guy represents Victor-Hugo and Jim Rizoli and Johnny Cirucci. Reuters connects this guy to all of us so that when he says insane, stupid, inflammatory shit, the government can crack down on, not him, on us or on you in the audience. And so there's no argument that this guy is playing the role of a Fed. Is he an actual Fed? I think there's an excellent chance. There's no way he actually believes the bullshit that he's saying. And the nerve to stand on the word of God, the nerve to stand on the Bible, I'm telling you, he is drinking his judgment to the dregs. We're over 4 hours now. This is a good place to wrap it up. 2 hours,
Okay,
2 hours. Over 4 o'clock. We're over 2 hours.
Before you go, I just want to show you again, or rather hear his audience, his cult members. He's got the cult of personality. He's got women who, I mean, just listen to this woman's voice. It's really creepy.
Very true.
Yeah, so somehow there's chicks who are attracted to guys.
He got one person. For all I know, it's his wife. Okay? Do not believe what you're seeing and hearing. I do not believe that someone that is this off his rocker has the power. He's got multiple verified BitChute channels, right? I think he's being enabled by the machine. What machine? You guys figure out. If you guys want to say it's the Mossad, if you guys want to say it's counterintelligence here in the United States, he clearly is being enabled. He does not have the power that he says he has. That's my point on that.
Well, before you go, I just want to agree with you. I think he's being controlled by the Jesuits. So that's...
Yeah, I don't... listen, the goal, Rome has its hands off. Plausible deniability. They beat the drum. They reward who they want to reward. They don't have a direct line of communication with somebody like this. This guy, they consider him, this guy, as a cockroach to them. They control from way above that. This way, he's expendable, and they can just cut him off if they need to, or if he goes and crashes and burns. My point is, There's a reason why there's so much anger and emotion frothed up about the Jews, and there's nobody out there besides me who's making sense in relation to, is there somebody above these Jews? Is there somebody we should be looking for past that? Are they playing a role? Are they managers? Who's educating them? Who owns the money that they manage? That's all I'm saying. There's somebody else to look for.
Hey, thank you, Giovanni, for joining us and
you guys
for
are great.
making
Love you both.
really clear.